Today, we're going to talk about how to have a team, your staff, actually basically say yes to your orders or suggestions, or having a team that takes initiative. It's a big complaint amongst doctors and really all business people. We can't find great people. People are lazy. They don't have the same work ethic as us, and it goes on and on and on with complaints. And if you saw the title of the of this uh, of this call, it basically says, maybe it's not their fault, maybe it's your fault, and there's some truth to that. Obviously, there's the outliers that that just really PIAs, pain in your asses. They just should not have been hired before, or they turned on you for some reason. Really, they didn't do anything to you. It's just them. It's what's going on with their life. But you need to get rid of them probably earlier than you did, or before they even left. So let me just start this off with a story about really it's all goes down to leadership, and it boils down to leadership. And let me explain to you how we learn to be leaders. And when I first started practice way back when in December 1989, I had one employee, and then I couldn't keep other employees. And then throughout the first couple of years of practice, I couldn't keep a staff person. And at first it's like, oh, it's hard to find people. And that's way back in 1990. So it's not any different post-COVID. The situation has changed. People might want to work at home. But overall, I just couldn't keep them. And then one day I just said, you know what? I have to, I looked in the mirror and said, maybe it's not them, it's me. And then I went to the library, took out a lot of books on leadership. And this is before the internet, so before Amazon, before you just get a book and sent to your house either the same day or the next day. So then I just learned, like always say, I take out books because it's cheaper than therapy. And so I was like wondering what's going on. But let me tell you how we learn to become leaders. When I was a little boy, my father was working in a company that he partly owned, and he worked from the ground floor to actually be part owner, vice president of this company in the garment center in New York City. And his job was what's called a textile converter. He would take raw material, send, just in a nutshell, to send it out to dye, ship it to the vendors, and for their basically handbags and shoes that he worked. That's basically what his niche was, handbags and shoes. And one of his clients, well, he has clients like Louis Vuitton. So that material that you see on the handbags, that's what my father worked with, and to get him shipped out, dyed, and then they get it back and they send it right over to um, Louis Vuitton there, so he could put his LVs on. And you can imagine the pressure that they have because there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a different kind of environment in the garment center in New York City, especially way back when. So I remember being a little boy, and there was this room filled with big desk, probably about 9 people working, and they're long desk, taking up a lot of space. My father smoked like crazy. He unfortunately died of lung cancer at the age of 59. And as a little boy watching your father work, you think it's pretty cool. And I went to go see him at his desk, which was in the back left-hand corner, and I would have to like move the smoke away just to find him. And when I did, he was like on the phone, always on the phone with a cigarette, in an ashtray that's like that smoke is just smoking in the air. And he was on the phone, and you catch him cursing, where the F is this? What's going on with you? And this is, just language that not normally you would say well, you shouldn't say in most businesses, but it's okay. It appeared to be okay in that business, at least back then, because everybody was under pressure. No one left their jobs. They were making good money, and it's how things get done. Okay, that back then anyway, or at least in that industry. So you don't know how you learn to lead, but I love my father. He's an amazing worker and teacher in a lot of ways. But that sticks with you, and it's in the back of your mind. So now you're hiring staff, and a lot of us go through this in residency. We have residency directors that are also like treat us like crap, um, and they think it's just the way you learn. Uh, Actually making fun of you in front of everyone else, and I remember that happening too as well in my residency, where you're like during an internship, you're one of 20 people, and you did something wrong, and the residency director just um, you know yells at you in front of your peers, and it's not fun. And not saying that we're doing that, but it sticks with us. So when you hire someone, you're wondering why they're not catching on. You teach them and teach them and teach them, and they still don't get it, right? And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And we get frustrated. We lose hope. We don't spend enough time with them. And for me, I didn't really say, I didn't curse at them. I didn't really say that you're stupid. But I looked at them funny. I was sarcastic, which I thought was humor. But you know what? Back in 1990, when people are making like $8, $9 an hour, $10 an hour, they don't have to stay with you. They can just quit and leave and work for someone else. And that's exactly basically what has happened, what happened, I should say, back then. So then you realize that's no one taught you how to lead and work with people. Some people are better at it, but no one is born to be a great leader. We are all in situations at times that we don't know how to fix and how to take care of our staff and let them go from, get them from like being an okay kind of worker to an amazing team leader and get people like that. And we just then go through our staff, and then sometimes we just work shorthanded because it's not worth it. Or worse, we keep them. We keep 'em because we go, and this happens so often. Because then, you know what, if I lose them, I'm going to be shorthanded. Everyone's going to be overworked, and then they will leave, and it's going to be hard on me. If you have good employees, good team, and it's just one person that's causing an issue, just get rid of that person because the other two will, or other people will build up your practice and work harder. As long as you communicate with your team that this is what's going on. I'm in the process of hiring someone. Please bear with me. And we're going to go through the whole interview process and how to train people real quickly right now on this call so we can get them to get the team working together and getting them from, basically taking initiative and learning how to do things the way they should be done. Right. And in that essence, that in that specific point, we as surgeons are basically, and surgeons and doctors, we are basically perfectionists. Because, like I say, at the end of a surgical case, and you put in your last suture, do you say, that was good enough? No, I mean, it's like, why would, no, we are perfectionists. We want to make sure that every throw we make for that suture is perfect. Everything is perfect as possible. Um, and we take that perfectionism into our staff. And sometimes for certain administrative tasks, good is good enough. Certain things have to be done specific to the way, to the way you want them done. Yeah, because it makes a difference. And going back to my childhood, uh, um, one thing I've always said, asked my parents, like, why do you want me to do this? Why? And my father would respond, because, the United States is maybe a democracy, but in our house, it's communism, and I'm the dictator. And that's the response. But your staff wants to know why. There's a reason why certain things need to be done a certain way. And if you're just doing it without a reason, then what's the point? But I know you have a certain reason why you want certain things done specifically. You need to explain and communicate that with your team. So remember that sometimes it is your fault. If you can't keep someone, I know someone said this the other day. I spoke with my friends and my other colleagues, and they had all having the same problem. Okay, and so now you found someone to agree with you that it's hard to find good people, and they're not good people out there, and so you have a mindset that guess what? It's what's the point of going through this whole hiring and what have you? Let's see, I can hire a whole bunch of VAs, and I have no problems with VAs. I utilize them in my practice. VAs, AIs, when you can delegate those kind of certain tasks to them, I think it's fantastic, and you should, because it decreases your overhead. But certain points and certain touch points in your practice require people, and people like people. Patients love to speak to someone at the front desk and feel like they're at home when they come to your practice. Um, so what is the point of what's the purpose of a staff member, an employee? Your A staff member should serve and earn. They need to earn about 3 to 4 times their income as revenue to the practice. And so when you hire someone, you're you're hiring someone it's going to bring in revenue, be revenue generators, not hiring someone to fill spots. Like where are the leaks in your practice and your business that it's not being done, that if it was done, you could be bringing in a lot more money. And what are those revenue generating tasks? So we hire for that reason and that purpose, not just because we're lonely and we need a friend, you know. Um, so they're an investment, not an expense. And when you hire someone, by the way, everybody on this call is part of has the top practices library. In the library, there are ads and certain ways to actually make your Indeed ad work really well to get the person you're looking for. And I highly recommend you go into that library, find the ads. Tina and I are here to help you with that. So if you can't find it, just let us know. And you can email Tina at toppractices.com or me, Peter at toppractices.com to find those ads. You go in the search bar and you can easily find it, put in ads, and and you can find it. Okay. So and that's another thing about the library. Anytime you have a problem, whatever, the answer is usually probably there, just so you know. And that's why it's there. It's a true library instead of ordering a book on Amazon, which you should be buying my book anyway if you don't have it. Just a little pitch right there. But it's all there, all loads and loads of information that you need. So now we hire them, we have this person, and you want to, on the interview process, tell this person about the mission of your company. You need to have a mission statement and you need to have the vision where it's going. And how does this person fit in? And to get them to say, this is what we are looking for. And how would you fit into this company and into our mission and vision? Otherwise, people just are worker bees and they just come in, do what they have to do, and get a paycheck. People want to be part of a company with a good mission and vision and be part of that and actually help you grow your business. If that's why, I mean, I don't mind hiring part-time people, but a lot of them are not really loyal. I'm not saying all of them, but some of them are not loyal to the company, meaning they're part-time because maybe they have children. And of course, the children are the priority. It should always be, family should always be the priority over your practice. But if you ask them to stay late, but they have to pick up Johnny from the school bus at 2 o'clock, it's going to be hard. It's hard and you can't expect the staff person not to leave exactly at 2 o'clock to get, Johnny off the bus, because you can't have, a 6-year-old like hanging around the streets. So I'm really speaking like a New Yorker here, the streets. And So what happens when you need this person to stay late? You can't. So now you don't, now you might be losing more revenue for the next few, half an hour, or whatever, because you don't have somebody to help you out. And then if you're hiring only part-time people and someone doesn't show up, can people are people flexible enough to fill in for each other? So what are the things that will make your life easier? The characteristics that you're looking for, the qualities that you're looking for in a person, and what you really need to get the job done. And you want someone that that it's okay to come in a little bit early, stay a little bit late if you have to. Your doctor's office. They need to understand you're working for a doctor. Um, and it's really, really important that if you have an emergency, that if you need them, stay late because you don't want to lose production. And if you just calculate everything, even if they're working an extra hour, how much revenue would that bring in for you? And so if you have a well-oiled machine and you have revenue generating procedures, such as let's say you have lasers going on all day, and now you have to run the laser, but you can't see more productive new patients, you're losing money that way. So think about, those revenue generating procedures and actions that someone can help you with. So now let's say you got them with the mission and the vision. You went through this process where maybe you have a staff member, an office manager, somebody who goes through the resumes and then calls them and goes over the particulars with this prospective hire regarding everything but salary. I do not discuss salary over the over the phone. It's really not appropriate, I don't think, for someone to ask him to ask. I want them to let them know. I want them to know that what we're doing is we're hiring for someone that wants to be part of our company. And at the proper moment through the interview, if we find that you fit the bill, where you are the person that will help us go to our next level and help more people in the community and give back to the community, and then we will discuss salary. And the funny thing is, people still ask about the salary, and then indeed, you have to put down the range you're looking for. So um, you let them know you're going to go through the process, but if money is the most important thing to you, except besides in a proper work environment that people respect you, understands you, listens to you, and you also in return give back to the company and make the company grow. If the money is more important than that, then you won't be a good fit. I have no problem saying that. So then we have a bunch of resumes that we went through. The office manager picks out a couple people they like. She interviews them first, and then you interview them. And in my book, there's about 35 different questions you can ask, and you pick your top favorite ones. And then you interview them, and then they should shadow the person in the area that they're going to be working, if it's possible, in your office. So if they're applying for the front desk job, they will shadow the front desk person. If they're applying for an MA job, they'll shadow the MA job. And the point of that is that the other team members will get a read on this person and see if they can work with that person. That's what you're looking for, asking for their opinion. I also then observe as well. I've seen people like shadowing one of my other team members. They are like in the back of the room and they're not being involved. They're not asking to help out. And if they're shadowing an MA, they're not introducing themselves to the patient. And you're looking for someone who a little more outgoing because every person in that office wears what I call two hats. You have two different jobs. You have the fireman, you have the policeman, you have different hats that you wear. And the front desk is basically, yeah, you have the front desk, but everybody has the second hat called marketing. And they're actually promoting you and your practice throughout the day. And someone that is really shy or introverted, insecure, might not fit the bill for that position, in my mind. But they just might be quiet. So quiet's okay. Um, but as long as they should still be able to look a patient in the eye and be confident. Quiet and confidence is wonderful. And that's what you're looking for, someone that's confident and sure of him or herself. Okay, and then you look at reviews, referrals, basically past jobs. You call up for the like the reviews, I should say, of the prospective employee. You call up maybe their the previous bosses that they had and see what they say about this person. And you only need to ask one question. And that question is very simple. If the position was still available in your office, would you hire this person back? And if there's anything but yes, you don't hire this person. The reason being is because a lot of bigger companies are worried about being sued, and with human resources, they might respond by saying, I can't really answer that question. I can tell you that they worked from this date to that date and they made this much money. And that's great. But that just means that, if you really like someone, they are going to say, I I loved her. She was great. Okay. If it's just wishy-washy, they'll probably just go into a typical politically correct answer. So you really need to ask one question and be really short and sweet. Okay. Then then you have that. Then you also have everybody here knows about Jay Henderson and his hiring test. If you're not familiar, just let me know. And he provides a test that you give to the prospective hire, and they fill it out. It really doesn't make sense to me, but it does to him. And he interprets it and tells you if that person would be someone that he recommends to hire or not, or at least here are the weaknesses that if you can work with these weaknesses, don't expect the weaknesses to change. But if you can work with that, then go ahead and hire this person. That's another great tool, especially if you're not having any luck finding good people. And um, a it might take you some time to find the person, but you go into this like we need to hire someone, but we go through the steps. We don't miss a step, and we go with a sense of urgency. You get a bunch of people and you start interviewing. If you don't have an office manager and the only person doing the interview, you need to do whatever you need to do to find this person, because you need to have the vision of what happens when you have an amazing team. When you have an amazing team that promotes your practice, that generates revenue for the practice, then you will grow, and then you can hire the second MA, the second front desk person if necessary, and have a team that actually then has a bench. And when someone's out, you have another person that fills in, and you don't lose revenue on any day. And that's your goal. Every day you come to the office, you have revenue generating activities. You don't put it on hold. You don't call patients to move them and reschedule them because you don't have the staff. You do whatever it takes because it boils down to how much money you need to bring in per month, per week, per day. And every day has to be where you're generating the income you need. Okay. So then, um, now this is how you train them. We train people a lot. Okay. A lot of us don't train people at all. We hire someone, give them, let's say, oh, I've been doing this for 15 years for another podiatrist. Here's your desk, and answer the phones, make appointments. Okay, but the way you want something done is not the way that that person might know how to do it from the other job. And I rarely hired someone that had that much experience. I like little experience, but not that much experience. I've hired someone that was great for me for a lot of years that worked for another podiatrist, again, I think for a really long time, and basically told her in the interview, and prior to actually hiring her, I said, you know what? I said, her name is Cindy. I said, Cindy, I know you know a lot, and this is great, but I do things, a lot of things differently. So I expect you to work like you know nothing at the beginning, go through the whole training process. Then, after you're trained and do things, now I want to hear from you. At that moment, then I want to hear from you how we can improve things based on your experience. But I can't start from like day one, change things for a person because my rest of my staff, because I had a decent sized staff, now has to change because of Cindy. You follow? If I say, well, Dr. Wishni, she's there for a couple months. I know we do certain things this way, but what would you think about that? I am totally open for that. But the first couple of months, you need to really learn how we do things. And you say that at the interview. You need, a leader, a business owner, a CEO always sees things before it actually happens. And if you're thinking that certain things like that might happen, you need to basically then bring it up to the that person in a nice manner and say, okay, this is what I'm expecting. This is what we can't have happen, right? Now, that being said, we don't train people by pure list. This is what we do. This is, just make a checklist and go answering the phones, making appointments, just making a list. Not initially anyway. They need to know those things. But what a person really knows and how you're supposed to train is a purpose-driven training. And what does that mean? Every single individual in your practice has a purpose. And you might have heard me say this. And the purpose of the front desk person is this. It's really three things. Keep the appointment book full with productive patients. Full, what does that mean? How many patients a day do you want to see? Okay, or better yet, do you need to see? And being productive, because you could have 20 patients come in for the day and they're all routine care, they're all post-ops or a combination of the two, and or maybe you saw 30 of those kind of patients and you didn't make any money. So productive, what does that mean for you? That could mean like people with heel pain, whatever it is. Just make a list of the when patient says I have an ingrown toenail and it's not a Medicare patient and it's a truly infected ingrown toenail. That could be productive. So just you have to train and teach the everybody what a productive patient means. And then making sure these patients keep their appointments. It's one thing making the appointment, but it's also keeping the appointment. That just reminds me of a Seinfeld episode when Jerry made a reservation for a rental car. Gets to the rental car desk, and they said, "Well, we don't have your car." I said, "But I made a reservation." I said, "Yo, I see the reservation." And he said, "Well, I know you know how to make the reservation, but the real thing to do is how to, the most important thing is to keep the reservation, right?" And so, so something like that, you want the patients to keep their appointments, and the metric there is a metric, percentage kept appointments. You want that at least over 95%. And that's where you tell them, that's how you train them. We want 95% of these patients to keep their appointments. We want X number of patients per day. And then to collect all the monies due at the time of service, such as your copays, deductibles, and past balances. And the goal there is to be 100%, collect every single dime that you're supposed to collect. And like, oh, I collected 90, 90%. What happens to 10% in a day is a lot of money. Do it every single day over a year. That's thousands of that's tens and tens. That could be six. That could be six figures easily in your practice. Oh yeah, a lot of them you say you'll collect it at the next visit, or you have to send a statement. Every time you send a statement, every time you make a phone call, you lose the money because someone is getting paid to do that, and and you're paying for that, right? So it's those are the three. That's what you teach them on. And so you focus on that. And the medical assistant, again, what are revenue generating procedures that the medical assistant does? Yeah, they could come in and set up a nail procedure, and you're doing the nail procedure. They could set up for the laser, for the Swift machine, or for any kind of what procedure you're doing, making orthotics and things like that, or scanning for orthotics, casting for orthotics. You could do all that. But really, what we did is we made the appointments in the treatment room. It prevented bottlenecking at the front desk, meaning that you don't have a line of two or more people at the front desk waiting to check out. It's all being done in the treatment room, except for maybe the copays and deductibles. And the patient then, the MA makes the appointment, explains the importance of the appointment to that patient, so they keep their appointment. So that's important to them. They make sure that the treatment room is completely stocked the night before. So before they come in, it's completely stocked for today's workday. So you, the doctor, doesn't have to leave the treatment room. And every time you leave the treatment room, you fall behind in your schedule. It's costing you money. So they understand what plantar fasciitis is. They understand what educational materials the patient needs. They understand that all everything you need for that, injectables, stretching splint, anything. He'll stretching pain kit, whatever you do. They understand it. They have it all ready for you. Ultrasound machine, they already have the X-rays. Ultrasound machine's ready to roll, and it's all set up for the patient to get their ultrasound. Okay, but then they're also important, like I said, marketing. Who do you know that, and I'm glad, so glad, Mrs. Jones, you're feeling so much better. Who do you know that might have a foot or ankle problem where we can take care of because we're all about helping people in the community. And maybe they give out what I always call the care to share card, which is a card that it's a referral card from the patient to the new patient. And then um, these cards, um, my staff member will write their initials on top of the right-hand corner of the card. So when the patient comes in, the new patient comes in, every staff member at the time got $5 for every card that came in. That's back when, so maybe it's $10 now because of inflation. But incentives for them to get other patients to refer. And you know, what about recalls? What about MAs, your front desk people, every staff person calling patients who haven't been in the office for a while and getting them back in the office? Revenue generating processes that will actually bring in more money to the practice. And so that's really, really important, right? Um, okay, and then like I said, what kind of patients do you want? How many new patients you want per day? Everything's a metric, and you tell them this is our expectations. We need 7 new patients a day. We want to see 25 patients every single day at least. And then when you have your morning huddle, you can explain to them again what you want, how many new patients you want, how many patients you want, and where are the openings where you would like to see them, which helps the front desk say, hey, I can put patients in these slots, right? But if you're short-staffed and you don't have a team like that, um, you're going to not be able to optimize your treatment protocols for every single patient. You probably won't have to be able, you won't be able to see more patients. And it's not about seeing more patients. It's about doing more per patient. So knowing your revenue per visit, your dollars per hour, and having those key kind of patients come in and making sure your staff is helping you. One of the things my staff did, especially Cindy, the patient will come in and see that, she came in for one problem and sees that the patient also has cracked heels. Next thing I know, there's this jar of cream on the counter, and Cindy tells me, just to let you know, I put that cream on the counter because I already sold this to her. She needs it, and she actually, you don't have to do anything. She's just going to buy it. That's a revenue generating process right there. So that's the kind of team you're looking for. Yeah, they need to know how to do these itemized little things, but if they know their purpose, if everybody knows their purpose, the financial team knows it's to go and collect money, keep the AR low. What does that mean? That means you have your 0 to 30, 31 to 60 in your buckets in the AR, that each bucket goes down a certain percentage, knows what the percentages should be in each bucket. Your marketing person is there to educate the public. And so that's really important, not just to get new patients in, but to take the present patients you have, educate them on the new procedures or technologies you have, and get them to also refer other people, get them to write reviews for the practice. So there's a lot of things that can be done, and the doctors are complaining they can't grow. It's not just because of the people, it's because of the systems that are not in place, and you are afraid to hire someone and don't understand the fear of hiring someone. The fear should be more like signing a long lease for a huge office that you might fill, you might not fill, but you have a 10-year commitment in a 5,000 square foot office that you rent from 1,500 to 5,000. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but without a plan, how to get more patients in, how to generate more revenue so you can pay for the increased rent, and having that long-term commitment, it, to me, is more scary than someone that is an employee that, hey, we did our best, we put in the systems, we trained you, it's still not working, and I don't have the revenue to continue paying you, so you lay them off. It never happens, but you don't have a long-term commitment to any of this. And it's something that I did way back when at a PPM meeting, and they were talking about instituting all this DME into your practice and all these. I wrote a list of maybe about 100 different things I can do to my practice to make my practice a new patient machine that without me doing anything, new patients just they keep on calling to come in and see me. And that's what I wanted. And so I had to do the first thing is hire a marketing person. And back then it was a little different. The internet wasn't really around. We did a lot of mailing. We did a bunch of like shaking hands um, for our referral sources. We did different things, but we did marketing. We did a lot of things. And then we had our team learning about DME. We changed some of our processes and systems. So it's all possible, but you can't do this without a good team. And again, it doesn't matter, VA, live, whatever. You use again in the library, it's my organizational chart, and it's divided into like 7 different divisions. Who's in charge of each division? What is their, not only who's in charge of it, but also their purposes are written down, their outcomes, their statistics, what are we measuring to know that this is working in each area. And so all the different areas of running a business is on this organizational chart. And if you don't have someone then that can fill those positions, but if you fill it, you'll make more money. Go ahead and definitely do it. Um, you have to start with the mindset there are really good people that want to help you. And speaking about mindset, if you go into hiring process with the mindset that here we go, I hope this one works out, and it might not work out, and but we'll give it a shot. No, you need to know what you are expecting from this person, and then that person fills those characteristics I said before, that's where you start with. And then you do your best to train them. Meaning you need to have weekly meetings and you need to listen to your team. That's the other thing is you even after training, you set them to go and then you're doing your own thing. You have to take care of your staff like you take care of your patients. And if you do so, then the staff will take care of the patients for you. You need to spend time with your staff, um, check their pulse, see if they have any questions. Periodic one-on-one, just 5-minute meetings, ask them, well, what can I do as the owner to help you and to serve you, right? So that's really important. Team meetings where you go over the KPIs, say what can we do to get to make these numbers better? What's preventing us from getting to that next level? And get their opinion. Don't bark orders at them. Never do that. Ask them their opinion. They'll tell you. They'll respect you better, and by doing so, you'll have a really good team that stays with you. Um, but don't have these expectations that because you train them once, twice, or even 3 times in something, they will remember. They will remember if that's tied to a purpose and a why, right? Not just, you know, like how to say something to, this happened the other day, how someone told me that they trained the front staff to, um, to be able to collect money from the patients. And what he told her to say might not be something that she's comfortable in saying, right? I have a script for that. And we go over the script. And then you ask, is there something that feels uncomfortable, like with the script for you? And the bottom line, what's the goal is to collect the money. And if there's another way that the friendless person feels more comfortable in saying something to get the money, well, you go over it with them. Go, well, if that works for you, let's give it a try. Let's see. Everything's measurable. So then you're measuring the amount of money collected over the desk. If that goes up because she's now more comfortable and you gave her the okay to do so, then that's what you need to do. Versus telling this is how I want you to say it. And who said that's the right way to say it? So ask questions, listen, spend time with them, get to know the names of their children and their significant others, what's important to them, learn all that on the interview process, and then continue like show that you care about this person. And that will go, and they will be more relaxed. And if they're more relaxed, their mind is more open, and they'll be able to learn better. So again, from this end this whole thing, sometimes the problem is not the staff member. And if you can't keep the staff member time in, time again, then it's probably most likely you. Hate to say that. I said to myself, and if you need to know how to handle certain situations, just give me a call. Have a great day. Peace out and stay focused.